Hello, everybody. Um, then what I'm going to say now, yeah, I could begin a little bit early, is AMI started in 1996 with Zarlenga starting the American Monetary Institute. He published The Law Science of Money, and here it is. This is a wonderful book on studying history and understanding grains and silver and gold and understanding how the throne, how the realms, the Caesars, the kings, the queens could declare what was money for their people and how much silver or gold was in it. And that was an important power. And then when you discuss the evolution of that and how that gets into private hands, that becomes a very powerful question. And so this is an excellent book to go into the history there. And Yamaguchi's book is Public Money. And this is like a next generation. You can read this as a serious student, fourth year of college, or you can read this as a layperson and not worry about all the technicalities and get a huge amount out of it. So, and you can listen to the podcast that Kaoru's passed around. He's done two for chapters 9 and 11. Those two chapters are needed for having a good conversation about MMT. And why that helps us too is we need to be able to go into the future and have a sense of consensus around us about what's working and what are we going to stand for when we talk to march down the streets and things that we have to do to take it to a new place. Later in the evening, we'll have David Corton, and here's his wonderful book, The Great Turning. And we'll learn more about David and that conversation. And that'll take us to another level, and that'll be a very special time. So in 1999, Zarlenga publishes that book in German, The Law Science of Money in German. And then in 2002, he publishes it in English. And he had backing by some Swiss entrepreneurs and monetary thinkers and monetary historians themselves, a museum of money too. And so they did good work supporting him. By 2005, we have our first conference, and then that makes this the 21st conference. We've had a conference every year, conferences on Zoom right through COVID-19. We have all of those presentations. There's about 500 of them, in some in additional to the conferences, and they're being cataloged, and they're actually available. We're now doing the library. We're cataloging them and making them on a nice display, and they'll be independent of YouTube. Well, you can go to YouTube for many of them, but for the more older ones, you'll need to visit AMI, and it'll be a real good researchers. And all of Zarlenga's papers will be publicly available. Also, another thing about tonight is it's early morning already in Europe and Africa and good parts of Asia. So tonight is geared for the U.S. population and the Far East Asia population. And I happen to know we already have a friend here from the Philippines. Oh, and this is right about time. So what happened so Zarlenga started the conferences, and then as we had the conferences, and right at the first conference, by the way, was a congressman. His name was Dennis Kucinich, and he won't remember this, but I sat right next to him, and I didn't know who this special looking person was, and but I was in awe of everybody around me at that first conference. There was something magical about it, and I was grabbed. So Zarlenga too, right from the beginning, started working on legislation, and he modeled it after. Pardon me. There's a train going by. He modeled it after um, Fisher's legislation from the 1930s, called the Chicago Plan, and then uh, that and we in the newer version that he worked on or started was the American Monetary Act, and that new they went through versions of it and it got changed every few months. I think we were on version 5, 6, and version 13 by the second year because we've been checking these things out recently. And as Zarlenga would say, we had small miracles. And small miracles was the interest of Dennis, and also the interest of Kaoru Yamaguchi, because he was going to be the one modeling everything. And he modeled it. And then we had Michael Kumhof from the International Monetary Fund, now from the Bank of England, who did the official modeling for the system, and he modeled it, and he confirmed Kaoru's findings and Fisher's findings, and found additional strengths of having the bank stop creating the money and putting it in the public good. So I'm going to stop there and turn it over to Dennis Kucinich and let him talk a little bit and share about what's he's up to. A little bit about Dennis. He has run for U.S. president twice. He's been a congressman from Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know, somewhere between 1 and 2 decades, maybe right in the middle near there, and has been an ally to everybody with a good cause. So, Dennis, if you could give us a word or two of how you're doing. What's up?
Steve, it's great to join you and all the participants in the American Monetary Institute's International Forum this year. My life changed when I became involved with the American Monetary Institute. It was on May the 4th, May the 5th, rather, of 2005 at 2 o'clock that Stephen Zarlenga walked in my office, and his assistant was a woman from the United Kingdom by the name of Elizabeth Harper. And we had about a 7-minute meeting on monetary policy, and it opened up my eyes to an entirely new world about the way money exists and what it means. And long story short, through frequent communication with Stephen and his assistant Elizabeth, I fell in love not only with the American Monetary Institute, but with Elizabeth Harper, who for the last 20 years has been Elizabeth Kucinich. So there is a love story connected to the Monetary Institute that is very powerful and unique. And Elizabeth and I worked together with our congressional staff for 5 solid years to come up with what became the National Employment Emergency Defense Act, that was aimed at introducing the concepts that Stephen Zarlenga had worked his whole life on into law. Now, there is nobody quite like Stephen. Zarlenga was a genius and somebody who was so far ahead of his time, but he's brought so many of us alongside through his life's work. And Professor Kaoru Yamaguchi, who you're going to hear from, has been one of the most brilliant exponents of being able to critically analyze this debt-based monetary system where money equals debt, or to come up with a new structure where where government or public authorities can issue money debt-free and without interest. That I mean, in a world where wealth is concentrating to the top, where the national debt in the United States is rising at a geometric rate, we're at a point where we're starting to understand that the current monetary system only serves a few at the expense of the many. The work of the American Monetary Institute, therefore, becomes critical in giving people a sensible and practical alternative to be able to meet the needs of the public and not see those needs sequestered with the excuse that, well, we just can't afford it because we're in debt. And so we're really at a crossroads, and it was Stephen Zarlenga who walked us all on the path. And I'll always be grateful for Stephen's life's work and for Stephen himself, who I was privileged to know and to be an associate of. When the NEED Act was introduced in 2011, it was, again, a landmark, and we need to work back towards that point where we get other members of Congress understanding this, for some arcane subject, but for all of us, very necessary. So to Stephen, Walsh, and to all of you who are on this call from many places around the planet, just know that we're at a moment in time where we stand for something that's going to transform the world in a very powerful and positive way. So thank you to each and every one of you for keeping Stephen Zarlenga's dream alive. I say thanks on behalf of my wife, Elizabeth, who worked day and night to acquaint me with Stephen's policies so that I would truly know the depth of their impact. And Elizabeth and I send greetings tonight. And I hope that each of you enjoy this conference. And a shout out to my friend, Professor Yamaguchi. Kaoru, your work is so important, and you honor all of us with your presence. So thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful conference, and I look forward to working with you as we continue our efforts to bring about genuine reform of monetary policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. And people should remember to keep up. You can keep up with Dennis by subscribing to the Kucinich report. And he and Elizabeth are writing articles in a steady stream on that. Elizabeth.
Stephen, thank you. And Elizabeth and I both post on a Kucinich report. It's on Substack, and you can get a free subscription, so you don't have to pay. But I would urge you to sign up for it so you can keep posted on the social economic issues that we're writing about all the time. So it's great to be with you, and I hope that each and every one of you have a wonderful conference and discussion. Your ideas and your work is of critical importance as we honor the memory of Stephen Zarlenga with our continued efforts. So thank you so much.
He would be cheering if he was around now, so thank you,
I think he's probably around. Thanks.
Yeah, I do too.
Thank you.